Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Business Spotlight. I'm Scott McMeans with Action Coach, and I'm here with Vince Venditti from Premier Home Pros. We're going to get a chance to listen to Vince's story, the unique opportunities somebody has to work with Premier Home Pros, and a little bit about what makes them different and what is so special about their business that you can learn from. So, without further ado, I would love to turn the microphone and the camera over to Vince to tell us a brief story about yourself and introduce what you've done to get yourself to the point you are right now with Premier Home Pros.
Thank you, Scott, and thank you for having me on. Yeah, I'll kind of give you some background on myself and then talk about Premier and really the journey we're on. I'm Vince Vendetti. I'm the president at Premier Home Pros. We are, if not the fastest, one of the fastest growing home improvement companies in the country. We're in our second year in business, and we just surpassed $52 million year to date as far as sales go, and we'll get into that. But really, my background, I am a finance and marketing person. Going all the way back to college, I studied both. I was always into both. My dreams kind of always lived in marketing, but for whatever reason, maybe sensibility told me finance was the right way. I initially out of school, I joined a small consulting firm, and we only had two or three employees at the time. It was a former VP of Goodyear Tire and Rubber out in downtown Akron. Wanted to go out and branch out and do her own thing, and I got kind of lucky enough to be her second employee, and got to do it all. So got to do search, got to do SEO, got to pitch clients, got to learn the entire gamut of marketing, and it was really a great opportunity for me. And after that, I moved on to a Fortune 200, worked in finance for a little bit, and really developed those fun spreadsheet skills. And after that, I actually went to a company here in Hudson, Ohio, named Leaf Filter at the time. Now people know it as Leaf Home, and I joined it, at a time when it was, this was pre-private equity. It was a very, very successful company, founder and owner led. And really, I always say it was the right place and right time for me. And I met my wife Amanda there. It was probably the best thing that's ever happened to me on a personal level. And I was there for 8-9 years, and we grew the company from 35 million almost to 1.8 billion dollars. And I wasn't necessarily looking to leave or go anywhere, but I got a call from a company called American Residential Services, who asked for me if I would consider being the chief marketing officer. ARS is a big, 7,000 person company headquartered in Memphis, Tennessee, and big marketing team, lots of history there. They've been around since the 70s, and I said no because I was very happy at Leaf at the time, but things progressed, and next thing I know, I was moving to, not to Memphis, but moving on to a new role. And funny enough, it happened again. I was at ARS for a little bit over a year, and this is where things really turn to Premier and get quite interesting. I get a message on LinkedIn from one of my partners, one of my current partners now, and he had basically said, "Hey, we've got this company. It's our first year in business. We'll do $15 million in sales this year, and no one's ever done that before. And we thought of you and thought you may be a great fit." And at this point, I didn't know either of these two. I had heard of them, but I hadn't heard of the company, heard of them. And at the time, I said, I don't think it's the right fit for me, but I'll keep you in mind if something else, somebody else comes across my desk, or I think of somebody, I'll let you know. And they said, "Hey, well, would you be willing just to kind of have a conversation and just hear about it?" And I said, "You know what? Yeah, I will. I'm always open to hearing." And I met him at a little coffee shop, and I fell in love with it. I could
Wow.
not stop thinking about the opportunity to grow another company again. So, we worked out the details. I came on as co-owner alongside my two partners, AJ and Noah. And, we had this dream of doing $50 million this year. And it was this idea of going from 15 to 50. And really proud to say that as of today, we're at 52. We didn't
It's
plan on
incredible.
achieving that. Oh, thank you. We didn't plan on achieving that in August. But sometimes you capitalize on right place, right time, and we think we're in one of those moments, and we're taking the right opportunity, in order to take advantage of that opportunity, I should say. So that's it. That's the story. That's me. That's my background, and a little bit about Premier Home Pros.
I think it's fantastic. I love the one comment you made from spreadsheets to the president's seat. That's pretty impressive. Um, I want to know about the uniqueness of Premier Home Pros. Why is it the fastest growing home? I think you said fastest growing home improvement company in the country. Why? What is so unique? What is so special that draws customers to work with you?
So I think it's I think it comes down to process. And I think some companies can take that too far and you can paint yourselves into a corner by becoming over processed. But I think for us, we have the agility of a startup where, we're still building the systems as we go. So we're not taking on a lot of, technical debt. We're doing things the right way the first time. And it's like a new build on a home, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
flipping an old home comes with its own set of challenges. I've worked at older companies. And this to me is kind of like a new build. You get to build it with the right foundation from the ground up. So, being a co-owner with my two partners, there's very little bureaucracy. We're able to make quick decisions and we're able to pass those savings on to our customers. So, I think it comes down to process. There's internal process and there's external process. Internal process, I think, is what makes the company successful, what builds a great culture. And I think external process is what gives the customer a smooth experience. We call that the Premier way. We keep it really simple. Let's hire Premier people, give them a Premier product with a Premier process. If we do those three things, customers will be happy.
That's fantastic. The idea that most businesses fail to recognize the importance of their people. If you build a good team, the team will take care of the customer will take care of the business, and in turn, the business takes care of the owners. Setting up, as you say, premier people with premier products, that's the best way to do it because you've got a really good value proposition, a really good offering. Um, what is it about the culture? You made that comment earlier that you've got a really nice culture. What is it about the internal culture that makes Premier Home Pros different?
I think it's I've been exposed to startups as small as, working at a coffee table and not having an office to Fortune 200s and, everywhere in between. And I think it comes down to having, at the end of the day, accountability and responsibility have to match. I think I've been exposed to, and I think we all been exposed to, where you have the accountability of driving results, but you don't have, the responsibility or the empowerment to make any decisions. Or the opposite can be true, where you have the empowerment to make any decision, but you don't have any accountability or responsibility. And I think aligning those things and empowering people to make decisions, and I always use this thing called inform. I really don't look for people to ask. And I think what that does is it allows you to make very rapid decisions. So I'll give you an example. I think there's two ways to go about making a decision. One would be, hey, Vince, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? Well, that requires a response. What I empower the team to do and what my partners empower the team to do is inform. And what that sounds like is, hey, Vince, I'm going to do this. Here's why I'm going to do it. And here's when I'm going to do it if I don't hear back. What that allows me to do is I can make 10 times more decisions because they're not waiting on me for an answer. Now, if it's something that I completely disagree with, which when you hire the right people tends to not happen as often as, you may think, it's not, you're not waiting for an affirmation. You're not waiting for, yes, that sounds good. You're waiting for the 10% of the time that, somebody may
Yeah.
disagree. So I always say inform, don't ask, especially with your senior leaders, because you hire them to make decisions, not just execute your own vision. And I think that ultimately is what has really driven, I think, a lot of our success. Empower people and hold them accountable, and the cream will always rise to the top.
I love the idea of that. And there's a balance that is set between accountability, autonomy, and authority to actually get things done. And the idea of simply inform, don't ask, pretty good because you know what somebody's going to go do. You know why they're going to do it, when they're going to do it. And if you have a challenge, you have enough time to correct their position or their direction they're heading. And I would imagine, as you said before, your ability to make quick decisions gives you efficiencies that you would then in turn give to your customers because you're not wasting time on unnecessary process. Because one of the comments you made before I really liked was we use process, but we don't go too far with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen, companies almost use process as a growth inhibitor, not a way to grow companies. And it's like the quintessential, that's the way we've always done it type
Yeah.
mentality. And I'm a D on the DISC assessment. I'm disruptive. I enjoy being disruptive. Now, I think there's productive disruptiveness and there's unproductive disruptiveness, and I think that it's important to find that line. But I encourage, and my partners and I, AJ Noah and I, we always encourage the team to ask questions and to have the courage to say, hey, why do we do it this way? Not, to be ridiculed and be like, well, because we've always done it that way. That's not the right answer. The answer is, a good question. Why do we
Right.
do it this way? Maybe there's a different route to the same result. And that's I think one of the things in our secret sauce, if you will, is making sure that you do things for the outcome, not necessarily just for the process.
Well, one of the things I think you made a good point on is when you have a culture that the immediate reaction isn't you're right or you're wrong, it's that's a good question. Because now you've got two people thinking together, whether it's right or wrong, you're now thinking together because you've
Mhm.
acknowledged, you know what, Vince, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Let's ponder this for 3 seconds to 3 minutes. Okay, now that we understand what we're talking about, decisions can be made. I love the idea of it because it allows people to be a participant in their own workflow. It
Mhm.
allows them to be a participant in their own company. I would assume, just given our conversation to date, you have a group of people that know exactly what you're trying to accomplish. 15 to 50. Totally understand it. Directionally, everybody knows what boat we're getting into and how we're rowing down the river. They all know it, right?
Yeah.
And everything cascades from that. So one of the biggest challenges I think businesses have is they don't set those common goals. They don't set the rules of the game. So with you, what would be some of the challenges that you faced at Premier Home Pros that you would like to talk about to help maybe give people a heads up or give them an indication of, yeah, this happens in real life and this is how we handled it.
I have such a newfound appreciation for the shared services. I've always worked in a corporate environment and have had the honor to run large marketing teams and be very involved in technology. But the unsung hero is the accounting team and the HR team and the IT team and the people that like typically aren't getting the shout outs on the calls. It's always rah rah sales and marketing and I didn't necessarily like I knew because they were my peers. I could see what the CHRO and the CFO had to go through on a day-by-day basis to support the business. But now that I'm primarily serving those roles and am building out teams to help with that, there's so much that goes on behind the scenes and it's not as simple as, oh, you just get leads, you sell them, and you install them. There's so much more to it, and
Yeah.
and without that infrastructure it becomes very difficult. So sometimes I kind of laugh and I say, are we a remodeling company or are we like an operations company? Because it doesn't really matter what you're selling. It doesn't matter what it is. It's your process and your people and your repeatability, and your ability to build scale and your ability to take something
Yeah.
that used to take you an hour. And it's like, okay, well, the company's going to grow by 20 times next year, are you going to be able to 20 extra hours? No, you're going to have to find a way to automate and build
Mhm.
scale behind it. So I think those pieces of the organization are like I said, the unsung heroes. And um, it definitely is something that I didn't totally see as complicated as it is. It's not easy now that now that I'm behind the scenes a little bit more and doing it. It's quite difficult.
That's a good perspective. And before we move on from this, I want to make sure everybody understood one of the comments that you made, and it probably came out so smooth, and this is your thought process, but I picked up on it. And you said, now that I'm in this role and serving those roles, I have a different appreciation for them. So, in other words, as a leader, you have the understanding that these roles are serious and you take your role serious because, as the president of the organization, you serve them. You don't expect them to serve you,
Yeah, and
right?
it's
That
a hundred
it's a
percent.
very interesting perspective, and I think a lot of people. I coach a lot of people, and it's interesting to see the light bulb turn on. We're like, oh, okay, I totally get it now. I'm not the head because I'm the head. I'm the head because I allow my people to do what they do and I help them.
Yeah,
You need to help them do their job better by doing your job better, right?
100%. And this is actually something that I've really, in my personal life have completely dove into. I actually co-authored a book recently called The Lost Audience, and it's this exact principle. At the end of the day, I'm a marketer, and
Mhm.
marketers have found this crazy idea that you need to market to people differently. And we call them personas and psychographics and demographics. And we say, oh, you can go on Experian and this person drives a Mercedes and this is their credit scores. So we're going to present to them value, not price. And oh, this person does this and that. So they're a coupon shopper. And you develop your creative and your messaging. You're selling the same thing, but the idea is you pitch a tailored message to an individual based on the emotions of that individual and their buying behavior. Well, then why is it so one size fits all at your business place where your number one and your employee is your customer?
Mhm.
Why do you manage everybody the same? At the end of the day, we're a business providing not only consumers with a good, but we're providing customers with a job, and they have the option to shop anywhere. So, what the approach that I take is, does this person work for time, for money, or for value? And meaning, do they love what they're doing and they're willing to sacrifice the other two because they want that, they want the flexibility, or is it that they will work, day and night because they're money motivated, or is it that they're status motivated and they really want a specific title? It's finding the thing that makes people tick, and then connecting with them on a personal level and saying, okay, let's find a way to make you successful, because if I can make you successful and I can repeat that across the organization, we're going to have a very successful organization. So it's very much that different type of thought process where
Yeah.
you are working for your team. It is not
Yeah.
the opposite. And the sooner leaders realize that, the faster their companies will grow and the happier and the better culture you have. And ultimately that leads to results.
And I think we're really good, and I'm going to try my very best to connect these dots. So bear with me. You understand how to talk to your audience as a marketer, and you can get people to buy your stuff. Now you really understand the importance of your shared services group, because now getting an employee and making them happy, whether it's, you said their motivator is money, time, or recognition, now you've got a whole team of shared services individuals that have to not cater to, but understand your workforce audience and how do you market to them the best opportunity for them to work with you. Because again, not everybody has the same buying signal or buying motivator. You need to find what makes your salespeople click. You need to know what makes your HR person click so they have an experience worthy of sticking around. So the
Yeah.
value proposition is more than just, yeah, I go to work and I punch a clock. I go to work and I really love what I do. And here's why. That's a really profound difference in the way you approach business. And I honestly wish a lot of people took that into consideration when they start a business, because it's a missing element. People just think I'm really good at this, therefore people should work with me. And I really want people to pay attention to the connection between an
Yeah.
employee and employer.
A friend of mine recently asked if they should start their own business. And I asked, I said,
Hmm.
well, why do you want to? Like, what's motivating to you? What are you interested in? And so it'd just be really nice to like not, I feel like I won't have to work as much. And I was like, oh, no, 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 trust me, you're going to work 10 times more. If your reason for starting your own business is anything but you love the process, you probably don't want to. And I think that when I look at my partners and AJ Wadian and Noah Jackson, I think we love the journey more than we love the result. And I know that sounds corny, but sometimes like you look back on the process and you're like, that was more fun than the actual, dopamine hit that comes when you get the result
Yeah.
that you thought you were driving towards. So sometimes it's just recognizing that the journey in building something is more fun than standing back and looking at it at the end, and always just challenging yourself to be 10% better or whatever that is. When we set 100 this or 50 this year and we got to 40, we weren't like, oh great, like we're happy and we're going to slow down. We said, well, let's go for 100 now, and let's continue that path, because it's, no matter what it is in life, we always want to just continue to grow and be better. And whether that's business or personal, it's all about teamwork and building and just continuously getting better.
I can appreciate that. And one thing I believe you seem to be the epitome of this, and I want people to recognize it because you've made comment a number of times about your business and then your personal life, right? They're so tied together. The happiness and fulfillment you get out of your business is because you're happy at home, or you're happy at home because you're so happy at work. They're so synergistic, and people fail to recognize you can do both if you pay attention to what you're doing. And a lot of
Mhm.
people either dive full bore into 90, 120 hours a week trying to get the business off the ground, and they fail to recognize what's happening at home. Somewhere there's got to be a balance, right? And finding that balance is true success. That's my opinion. I want people to find that.
It's hard. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard. I struggle with that. And, I think that that's just something you got to challenge yourself with and realize that if you want to be, the best at something, you've got to be at it in all elements of life, So
Mm.
I've got a wife and two daughters and two dogs, can't forget them. So, sometimes as a business owner and with two partners, there's only so much of you to go around. So you have to really make sure that you're spending your time in the right areas and not neglecting any one part of life. And I think it's easy to do so. You can get tunnel vision or blinders put on and get so obsessed with what you're working on that other areas can fall, So I think it's about surrounding yourself with people that, you love to be around and asking them to hold you accountable and say, hey, if you see me getting too far deep into something, like, let me know. But yeah, I mean, I've got like the best wife in the world, and she's always helping me, whether it's with the business or if it's with, personal life or raising our two daughters. But I wish I had the answer for what you're saying. I can shake my head and agree 100%, but it becomes a challenge, separating those two things, especially as a business owner.
Well, Vince, is there anything that you do, whether it's a mechanism or a philosophy that says, all right, this time of day, I'm done. I got to go home. What keeps you balanced between the work and the home life?
I right now, I think I'm in the good old days because my daughter is 4 and my other daughter's 1, and they're right now at that age where when I walk in the door, they scream my name, and
Yeah.
that is like one of the coolest feelings in the world. So I will, it sounds ridiculous. If I'm on the phone, I'll park my car down the street and I'll wait until I hang up the phone. So when I pull in the driveway, I'm not rushing anybody off the phone because I want them to remember that when dad walks in the front door, he's attentive. And I run in the door like a little kid after work every day at 5, 6 o'clock. I like slam the door open and I see him and I pick him up, and I just, want to make sure that that's how they remember me. Do I work a lot? Of course I do. And I think they'll remember that. But I also think that when you're present, be present. And when you're not present, don't be present, right? Like try to live all the way in on what you're doing in that moment. And for that reason, I leave the phone and I leave the laptop in the car from, 6 to 8 every night. And then after they're in bed, yeah, I'll go wrap up a couple emails. But for those 2 hours, those are very sacred. And I always try to make sure that, I'm family first during those hours and business second.
I love it. If anything, anybody learned today, they should learn the secret of park your car 3 doors down from your house, finish your phone call, then go in and say hi to the kids and the family. That alone is brilliant. I love that.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 15 to 50. Now you're going 52 to 100. Is that obtainable? What are your thoughts? Like, what's the biggest
Yeah.
opportunity for what you got going on at Premier Home Pros?
Yeah, we here we are, beginning of August, and we've, obviously hit the year goal, but we reset that goal, basically every month. I've had really kind of amazing mentors throughout my career, and they've taught me, how to set goals on a big level, and then how to divide those into small goals in order to get there. So it does throw you a bit of a curveball when, you come out of the gates and you're going a bit faster than maybe you had anticipated. So as far as what we think is possible and where we want to go, we're still one product line. We're still bathroom. We're bathroom remodeling and bathroom remodeling only. Will that ever change? I think so. I think that there will naturally be a time where it's right for Premier Home Pros to not only offer bathrooms, but also offer, the next product line that makes sense for us. But for right now, we're really focused on staying a single product line. We are not private equity backed. We do not have any debt, any venture capital. We're completely bootstrapped up to this point. So, for us, it's about one, making sure that the quality of our service stays high, making sure that you don't, quote unquote, grow too fast, and making sure that we built something special along the way. So my focus, our focus here over the next 5 months is to continue on that path and really just push each day. And if the sum of that push ends up to be 100, great. If it ends up being 110, great. If it ends up being 98, great. We are going to be the best we can be every single day. And wherever that leads us, that's where it leads us. But for right now, we tend to take things one day at a time, keep our heads down, and try to just make every single day as strong of a day as we can.
Beautiful. Absolutely great advice. I want to ask you one final question.
So,
Vince, you're going to go sit on a park bench, and next to you is an 18-year-old version of Vince. What are you going to say to him?
oh boy, this is it's deep. I love that. 18 was tough for me. 18, you're just getting into college. I was actually really struggling to even stay there for student loan reasons. I was having a hard time getting through paying my way through college. It was very difficult, and almost didn't make it. Almost had to go home. And luckily for me, somebody in my life very close to me kind of helped me figure all that out. So um, I would stay focused. I would stay like that fire inside of you. Lean into that because
Oh, I love that.
it's your strongest asset is your drive and kind of your determination, or really I think the word that I kind of would really relay is discipline. I would say stay disciplined and stay focused, and just work hard every day and good things will come. So you say that, and you know 20 years from now I might ask myself, oh, what would I say to Vince in 2024?
Mhm.
And maybe I need to take some of my own advice because I don't know. I've never really thought of that question in that realm before. So thank you for asking that. But I think I would say stay focused and keep your head down.
I like it. And I'll be honest with you. I ask that question of all my guests.
Hmm,
To a person, they all say a different variety, a version of just stay the course, man.
hmm.
Just stay in the pocket. Find your passion, find what you're good at, and follow that storm that you want to ride it out. Very similar to what you just said. You added the discipline piece, which I think is a really good component because discipline. I love the concept of discipline. As much as I don't want to do what I'm about to do, I'm going to do it anyway because I know it makes me better. That's discipline.
I so much agree, and I'll take it a step further. And maybe this is a bit out there for some people, but I see it as a lot of people work out. A lot of people love to work out, and they'll work out their body and they'll work out their heart and everything else. And one of the most important organs I think we all know would be your brain. And discipline is a workout for your brain. And just like that little bit of burn you get when you're working out, it's not great. You don't love it. It doesn't feel comfortable. When you can become comfortable with being disciplined, it is like a workout and it does pay off in the end. It's all about, can you make it through that workout or not? So I think that there's parallels there that many people don't realize. And I think that the people at Premier are disciplined every day. The one thing I say is people ask, what do you look for when you hire somebody? I look for somebody who's going to jump out of bed in the morning and check the numbers because they want to know so badly how they did. Not somebody who's gonna show up and I have to say, hey, did you see the numbers yesterday? And they go, no, I didn't. I haven't checked yet. It's like you can't really teach that. You could teach everything
Yeah,
else. That like innate, you know, desire to win is that flame's got to be there, and you can really blow it up.
I love that. Vince, I want to thank you for being a part of the show. There's tons of lessons and information people can glean off of this conversation. So I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Um, I'll have your information down below. So anybody wants, they can get in touch with Vince. They can get in touch with Premier Home Pros. And I want everybody to come back for the next episode of the Business Spotlight. Thank you, Vince, for being a part of the
Thank
show.
you. Yes, thank you, Scott. Take care.